Good evening. I'd like to call this September 26, 2023 Board of Supervisors meeting to order. I'd like to start by the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We held an executive session this evening at 5 p.m. to discuss personnel issues related to the collective bargaining agreements and police matters. Before we start on public comment, I want to welcome everyone to speak. I think we treat everyone with respect and dignity and give everyone a chance to speak in return. There'll be no foul language used and no personal attacks on anyone in the room. If that is the case, you'll be asked to leave. If you do not leave, you'll be removed. Is everyone clear on that matter? We'll start with public comment. Julie?
It is good to be back, and there is a lot going on in this room. There's a lot going on in my life and in the community. And the Lord laid loss on my heart tonight. So whether that is loss of income, inflation is doing that to many of us, whether that's loss in terms of injury or disease, whether that's loss of a home, of a job, of a relationship, or of course, whether that is a death that you've experienced. And I am sorry for the loss of Canine Czar. Yes. But the Lord does so many things. God does so many things with loss. He does promise to restore what is lost. And in the midst of it, he promises to be with us. So I'd like to read Isaiah 41:10, and then I will pray. And God says to us tonight, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Go to the Lord with me. Lord, we thank you for this meeting. We thank you for everybody who is here. We thank you for this community. We thank you for all the first responders and the leadership here. We ask that you help us honor the leadership and honor the first responders who oftentimes aren't appreciated. But Lord, if there's anybody in this room experiencing a loss that's making them fearful, that's making them anxious, that's making them sorrowful, I ask that you be with them. I ask that you be close to them. And thank you, Jesus, that you hold our tears. You reminded me of that this week. So in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. First, we have a brief presentation on Zoom.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's Richard McConnell and Geraldine Brown on a Zoom meeting to speak about savvy citizens. That was and can you hear us?
Yeah, you all hear me?
Yeah, I'll turn the volume on. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Hey, we really appreciate everyone taking a few minutes to chat with us this evening. I understand this is a meeting, so we will go as quickly as possible. My name is Richard McConnell. Also on the line is Geraldine Brown.
Hello.
And so we're just going to run you through our presentation very quickly here, just to kind of share some information with you about our notification system, which is called TAP. The background on our company, Management Science Associates is the company that
Hey, Rich, let don't you put on your headset, Rich, if you wouldn't mind?
Oh, am I breaking up?
Yes, a little bit. I can hear Frank. So we're just getting settled, so just to tell you a little bit about our company, we're based in Pittsburgh, and we're in a lot of different industries, but we always like to point out that we are a large company, so you don't think like this was built in the back of somebody's garage. We actually have a history, in working with local governments, and Rick will talk about that. Go ahead.
Okay, I apologize. The last day or so, I've had some problems with the microphone inside of my computer here. I'm not sure what's going on, but hopefully this works. Real quick, in terms of the development of Savvy Citizen, I myself have been involved in my local government for the last 10 or 12 years or so. I'm currently in the chairman of our planning commission. About 5 or 6 years ago, I've had my share of meetings where I've had residents, comment to us about how we just did not do a good job of communicating with them in terms of ordinance changes and other things that are going on at the township. So my thought was, wouldn't it be great if my cell phone just wouldn't occasionally tell me what was going on locally, either with an ordinance change or an event or something else. So that was kind of the crux for this solution. I took it back to our folks here at MSA, and we decided to build something. They did tested it locally in Pittsburgh, 5 municipalities. Currently, we have about 100, more than 100 in 6 states using the system. So all the features that we're going to talk about tonight have come from either myself or from municipal feedback, basically. So Savvy is one-way. It is not like Facebook. It is not like Nextdoor. Basically, it's a one-way push from you to your residents. There is no feedback loop for them to communicate anything publicly at all to there are a lot of variables in terms of how messages are delivered or when they're delivered. When you push the button, it goes out. Or you can indicate when in the future you want information to go out, but you don't have to worry about information being delivered to residents. It will get to residents. All the accounts have been verified. There are no copycat accounts. So that's one of the big problems with social media is sometimes residents go through and create community pages that look like municipal pages, but they really aren't. That is not the case here. Every account is verified by us, and we're all verified, government accounts. And we do have a plugin that will integrate with your website if you so choose to use it. So basically, you can take the Savvy events notifications, put them on your website. So there is no dual entry in terms of trying to keep your website up to date along with the notification system. It can be kind of an integrated solution. 3 main ways residents can get the information. We suggest everyone download the app. It'll come across as a push notification. You push the push notification, the app opens up and the information comes across that way. If folks aren't interested in that, they can receive a text message or an email. Or they can receive 2 or all 3, frankly. It's really up to them. When they go through and sign up for the system, they can select how they would like to receive that information. We are also doing some things on the search engine optimization side to make your information easier to find, say on Google or other search engines. And we integrate with every sort of major social media channel. In the event you want to use that, you can take the Savvy notification and very easily with one click push it out to your residents via those channels if you decide to use it. This just gives you a sense for how the notification looks on the app. This is a notification. This was sent out by Dover a few months ago. This is about a road closure. You'll notice that we do integrate with Google Maps. So if you are doing something that is location-based, residents have the opportunity to click a button inside the app, and Google Maps will open up on their phone and very quickly display the location of whatever it is you're trying to get out to them. These are just 3 main examples of information that some of our clients have sent out to residents to give you kind of a sense for what other folks are sending out. The one off to the left was from Paradise Township. They're up in Monroe County, and this was regarding basically job posting. They're trying to solicit some local help to fill a job posting. Off to the far right, we've got one from Honolulu. Every Friday they've got a food truck that visits the township, and they advertise that on a regular basis via Savvy. And then the lower one is from Coastal County, which is in Adams County. They had a best feedback program see, really anything you got to share, you can send out via the system. It works for just about everything. Regarding police alerts, obviously very important. This was an example that came out of Redline about an armed robbery at a convenience store. So they went ahead and sent information out to residents as well, and they obviously pinned the notification, the location in the notification to make residents aware as to what was going on. We suggest that basically police departments get access to the system. The Northern York County Regional Police Department is one of our current users of the system, and they service a number of municipalities there in York. They're actively using the system, as well as police departments inside of municipalities are serviced by them as well. This screenshot shows the administrative dashboard. So, as an administrator, this is the dashboard that you would see when you log in. You can either create an event or notification. It's pretty easy to do those things. We've got a screen that will show you exactly what it looks like. Down towards the bottom of the screen, off the left-hand side, is your subscriber count. So we'll always keep you up to date with the number of folks that are actively following you and receiving your information. And then off to the far right is your resource center, and that contains some digital marketing material that you can use to send out to residents, depending on kind of what you're doing on the marketing side. We'll talk a little more about that in a bit, but everything resides there. The one thing I'll comment is we do have some automated alerts built into the system. So we've automated traffic alerts and weather alerts. The traffic alerts are powered by Bing. Anytime they text either a slowdown or reported accident construction inside the municipality, you'll basically either API send us notification, we'll then send it out to residents that way, and National Weather Service as well. So on the weather side, if there's a tornado warning or a flash flood warning or whatever else it might be, that information will go out to residents once the National Weather Service sends it over to us. And that's all configurable. There's a number of settings there that you can kind of determine how you want to manage that, but all that information is available. This screen is the input screen. It's pretty straightforward, and there's a couple of, frankly, just drop downs. You make your selections in terms of the category. You select is this urgent or not, and then you can select when you want the notification to go out. So in the event you're sitting in front of your computer and you're thinking about a notification, perhaps it's going to be you want to go out with you a week or two from now, you can tell the system, hey, I want it to go out 2 weeks from now, and go ahead and type it out, type out your headline, type out your description, and it'll go, or you can send it right now, frankly, it's however you want to do it. But this can be done in usually a minute or less. You can get this information basically completed and get it out to residents. We also offer the ability to attach a document or an image with notification. So if you've got, say, a newsletter that you want to send out to residents, or a photo of something that you want to send out to residents, you can attach that to the notification, and it'll go out, it'll come across the phone or the email, whatever it might be, and they can open it up and get the information. We offer 2 optional features. This is one of them, website plugin. So in the event you want the Savvy calendar and the notifications on your website, you can have that. So basically, the Savvy calendar can replace your municipal calendar. So when you're updating Savvy Citizen, those events will go through and populate the calendar on your website as well. So you don't have to worry about dual entry. There's also a widget, if you so choose, you can go ahead and put 100% as well, that will have the one-off notifications in it as well. The second optional feature is what we call targeted notifications. This is popular with some of our larger municipalities. So in the event you've got a very localized event, let's say maybe it's a water main break or utility failure that only affects, say, a street or two, and you don't want to notify the entire municipality about this, you can draw a box around where that particular event is taking place, and then you can send a notification just to the residents who've indicated they live in that area, and they'll receive that. The residents will not receive it. We offer branding. So this is included with the system, and this actually was feedback from Dover Township. This was something that they thought was a great idea, and frankly, after they told us about it, we completely agreed with them. As as part of the onboarding process, we would collect your logo, and then that information would go out, or I should say the logo would reside inside the system, and then we'll wind up going out to, with all your notifications, and we'll be present whenever that information comes across in a push or in the emails. Your logo will be present there for all your residents to see. Geraldine, can I jump in on this one?
Yeah, I would love to. So,
Go for it.
you know, when you sign up with us, we don't just kind of hand you the system and say good luck. We actually pride ourselves on working with you and helping to get your residents aware that you're going to be using Savvy Citizen to communicate with them. So we do lots of things, and this is all included, you know, as part of the setup. But we create custom posters and handouts and road signs. You know, smaller communities, we've got door hangers or door knockers. We've done all sorts of different things, but the bottom line is we get to know you, and we create a lot of different things that you're able to utilize, you know, maybe on a newsletter, on your website, and then, you know, and so on.
Right, and one thing I'll comment here is this part is mission. So, this system is not gonna be worth anything to you unless residents download it, unless they engage it, unless they use it. So we take this part very seriously. We do spend a lot of time on this. So we will sit down and we will have a meeting or two, or maybe even more than that, frankly, and with a good marketing plan, to go through and market to residents. We're not gonna read this to you, but basically, a few takeaways from this as to why we think we're a good solution for what you're looking for, is this system is very easy to use. That's intentional. It's very important to me when we develop this. I work with the two folks in my township very closely. We've got two secretaries who are overworked, underpaid, you know, and it's one of these things where I knew the solution, it cannot be a time suck, right? It has to be a net positive. So that was very important to us when we built this. Had to be easy to use. It's not 100% standalone. We host, you don't have to worry about any type of IT involvement. No issue with that. Unlimited users on the municipal side. So you can give access to whoever you like, Parks and Rec, perhaps local library, roadmaster, anybody who you think is a trusted sort of content creator you can give access to. That's completely up to you, whatever you'd like. And lastly, there are no advertisements. We're paid by the municipality, nobody else, so you don't have to worry about any type of ads or anything along those lines. This is the pricing. $349 a month is the price, or if you decide to go for a year, it's $38.39. Basically, that's $349 times 11, so we get 1 month off. The one-time marketing setup fee is $600. That goes to fund basically the efforts to get the marketing piece off the ground in terms of the production of the materials that Gerald was talking about. If you're interested in the website calendar plugin or the DVs and notification, that's an extra $50 per month. These are the folks that we're currently working with in York. 14 municipalities currently working with us. On top of that, 3 additional agencies. So, and we're happy to, I'm sure maybe you folks have talked to these folks already, but we're happy to make connections there if you haven't, and you can chat with them about kind of how they're using the service and what they like. And lastly, these are just a few testimonials from some of our current clients up top, and then down below, I'll just point out, these are actually reviews from the Google App Store. So I strongly suggest that if you guys are seriously considering this, go through and download it, put it on your phone, kind of go through the process that residents will experience. That part is very important because if the setup process is difficult, residents will just give up on it and walk away. And we actually spent a fair amount of time trying to make sure that doesn't happen. If you get on the Google Play Store and the App Store, we've got 4.5 stars on one, 4.7 stars on the other. So we take that part very seriously and try to make it, you know, a really good experience for residents when they're signing up and using the system. So that's the end of the presentation. We will send this over to Tony, so he has it, he can distribute it. We're happy to answer any questions right now.
So the residents can download an app and there's no charge to the residents on this?
That's 100%, yeah, 100% free to residents.
And they can use Apple and/or Android?
Correct.
So is it a year-to-year contract then?
It's either monthly or it can be annual, depending on what you like.
I don't have anything further.
We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this came to us just so you know from our membership costs. Thank you, Richard.
Sure,
Mm,
sure.
thank you.
One thing I'll mention quickly is because you guys are a member, because of our relationship with the CalCon, we will provide a 1-month discount on top of the pricing that you saw. So if you just have you go for a year, we'll basically give you a year for 10 months instead of 11. So we appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, next we'll move on to public comment. First, we have Bob Gaswit, Redland Senior Center.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to give you folks an update. I'll just say up front that I'd like to extend an invite to anyone that would like to attend the center. We attack no one when they walk into the center. And, but I need to tell you that we have reached the level of excitement at the senior center that has never been in existence in my 40 years that I volunteered. If any of you folks had the opportunity to come to our open house last Thursday, it was awesome. We had between 225 and 250 people. That's great exposure for this community. We had lots of volunteers. Bob Connolly provided the food for a 4-hour period for those people, which was very much appreciated. And just to let you know where we stand as far as attaining ownership, the last couple months I was saying that we're on lap 9 of a 10-lap race. Well, I can tell you now, we see the checkered flag. We are that close.
Well, that's good.
So it is. Thank you. It's been a long time in coming. The senior board has approved all the legal documents. They are now in the hands of the church. And up to this point, we've had the commodes in the women's bathroom replaced. We've had that same donor going to put up, do new sinks and vanity tops. We have a different donor going to replace the flooring. So that whole thing has begun, and once we start our marketing plan, you know, we have a jump on some of these things, and we know it's going to take a lot to keep it going. But we have a lot of confidence in Fairview and Newberry. At Fairview last night, I said we needed some handicap signs. 8 o'clock this morning, I had an email from Don Martin hooking me up with a gentleman. We met this afternoon at 2 o'clock, and they're going to donate those signs for us. So a lot of good things are happening. Anyone have any questions? We're going to keep plugging along. I know that you're looking forward to my report next month, and I'll be here. I don't want to disappoint anyone.
I'll try to stop over in the next week or two just to visit you.
Perfect. Would love to have you. And
Somebody always there?
yes, yep. And we have our new director doing an awesome job. So things are looking up for the seniors.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, leave some newsletters.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Next, we have Doug Smith.
Good evening, Township Supervisors, folks, residents of the township. I'm coming to you as Chief 28. I and the fire department would like to open and entertain the possibility of a future purchase of one of your previously used police vehicles, mainly for the purpose of not for a duty car, not for a chief's car, for training purposes, for firefighters to be able to transport or pick up drivers after they've dropped the apparatus off at the garage. Also for fire police as well. Right now, we use our brush truck, but doing so would free up that brush truck for the actual call or a call, if it's needed, with the four-wheel drive capability. There's multiple uses. Like, for example, right now, we have 2 firefighters going through the York County Fire School, and they're having to use their own transportation. And obviously, at $3.95, I believe, a gallon, it gets quite expensive. And they're having to drive their own selves. They not only have to go from their home to the firehouse, pick up their gear or equipment, such as SCBA's, but then they have to go from the firehouse down to the training site. So, I mean, a lot of excessive use and wear and tear on their vehicles. I, as fire chief, in the near future, have already brought this up, but to internally with the fire department to entertain fuel cards for active members, possibly. I respond on calls, don't get paid for gas. I don't ask for it either, but it's also a lot of wear and tear. But I would like to open the possibility of a future purchase of one of your previously owned police vehicles for that sole purpose, for training, maintenance use. That would include picking up a driver or at a garage and that kind of stuff, fire, police, and other possibilities. But go ahead, sir.
So, how does this work? I know we can sell to other townships. Can we do, like, to a fire company without going out for bid, or?
We did already.
We did?
Given it to Newberry Township.
We've done something similar to this before, so, I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea. I just, right now, we're kind of waiting to hear on our new cars coming.
Understood.
You know, it's going to be a little bit.
No, that's
And I
fine.
know that we have one vehicle that is have an engine problem, so we want to make sure. I don't want to give you a piece of junk.
No. I absolutely understand, and I'm just putting that out on the floor and hopefully at some point, instead of here, we're here. But any other further questions for me? Thank you kindly for your time.
All right, thank you. Next, Sandra Gonzalez.
Good evening, Sandra Gonzalez, 140 Oak Road, York Haven. I see that we have the K-9 program on the agenda for later. I wanted to give to the police department my condolences for the loss of this officer. Officer Czar meant a lot to this community, and I just wanted to express that, not only from myself, but the superintendent of the West Shore School District emailed me today and wanted me to convey his condolences. I have a copy of that email that I will gladly forward to any one of you, and how much the K-9 units have meant to our schools. I spoke with the folks over at Newberry Elementary. I've spoke to the folks over at Red Mill. I have a letter here from Walmart. As you know, both of our K-9 dogs showed up when we had an active shooter at Walmart, and they're ready to roll in. I know Claire can attest to one taking a robbery assault suspect down on his property some years ago. That K9, I believe it was about 12 years ago. That K9 took that once your employees were removed from the property, that K9 went in, and within, I think, less than a minute, had that guy by the ankle, incident free.
He actually had a hit and run over at Daisy Data.
Yeah.
The guy was stealing stuff, and the guy tried to run away and ran somebody over. And the guy took off to the woods and ended in my yard. And John Sunder was the chief at the time, and we took everybody out of the yard, and they went back and got him. He was underneath the trailer.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. And what these dogs mean to us in our community, and how sincerely sorry we are for our police force, and that we're praying for you guys for healing and restoration in that area. I'm going to give you, Mr. Chairman, the letter from Walmart. And if you want, you can pass it along to your colleagues. I'll forward that email to you from the West Shore School District. But I wanted to just express that and to remind us all, you know, our police department means everything to us. And, you know, there are 1,117 police forces in the state of Pennsylvania. And there is only 30 of those 1,117 that have the premier rating that our police department has. Even York City Police do not have a premier rating the way Newberry Township Police, and I think they've maintained that rating for over a decade. We have an amazing police force, and I just want to rally our community around our police force and around our K-9s team as our township grows. Every time I turn around, there's another housing community going up, another warehouse going up, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the jobs. I was grateful when they cleared the lot for my property and built my new home, and I'm grateful for that. I love to see our schools bustling with little children, and as our community grows, we need to remind ourselves that our police department needs to stay strong. We need to fund it appropriately. We need to look to the future. I look at our beautiful new building that I'm so grateful for, and I'm very forward thinking, and I'm thinking, I hope you guys, when you guys planned that and your architects drew that you considered that someday we may have to expand that. As these new buildings go up, as we get more businesses like Walmarts and Amazon warehouses, and I know some of us squawk at these Amazons and different ones going up. I don't buy from Amazon. I buy from a little guy. However, I'm grateful for the jobs in our community. But again, more than anything, I just want to rally our community around our police force, around our K-9 unit, and I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thanks for this in the email. Well, thank you. Next we have Jane Harmon. Beth Mon. Jeff Mon. David Parson.
Good evening, everyone. David Parsons, 200 Whiting Drive, editors. During the May 23rd, 2023 supervisor meeting, there was an item on the agenda for solar ordinance discussion. Has anything occurred since then?
Not that I'm aware of.
The ordinance drafts are still, we're still waiting to discuss.
Do we have a copy of them?
You do.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because the last I heard, James, our attorney, was going to research and draft an ordinance. So the ordinance has been drafted?
It has been drafted, and it's, we're just waiting to review it with the supervisors.
Okay.
Okay.
And then there was a mention about it also, as an ongoing discussion, not just solar farms. You also have to be concerned about other areas like the tiny homes, containers, whatever, So, so you're looking at different things. And so I'd like to talk about updating our ordinances, because all the ordinances that have to do with future growth should be reviewed and updated. For example, like presently, we have a zoning ordinance. That was adopted July 25th, 2006, amended April 25th, 2011. And what's nice now is we have these two books on Member of the Planning Commission, and now it's online, so anybody can access that. So zoning ordinance is Chapter 380. There's also a subdivision land development ordinance adopted by the Board of Supervisors July 25th, 2006, not amended. That's Chapter 344. And the stormwater management adopted May 26, 2015. This is different, amended this year, February 28th. That's Chapter 332. There are presently 11 designated growth areas. For example, we have open space, village, mobile home, regional commercial office. There's four rural resource areas, zoning districts, including agriculture, rural resource, rural residential, and rural industrial. And then there's 5 zoning overlay district. A zoning overlay district would be an overlays district that includes land within a designated growth area, which is the first group I mentioned, and the rural resource area. So it kind of combines overlays, either one or both. And so, for example, I was at the a zoning board meeting, July 24th of this year, and a Hagerstown, Maryland developer wanted a special exception. I remember the attorney, she said, there's nothing special, and it's not an exception. However, you must, and she repeated it several times during the course of the meeting, but you know, and then she went on about, they didn't pass something, went to Commonwealth Court, and I don't know if it's still litigation, but she almost like put, almost, not intimidation, but just like a reminder, you know, you got to go according to your ordinance, well, good or bad. So what they were discussing, and this is near Paddletown Methodist Church, 11 condo buildings of 12 units each on 13 acres, 132 units, including 396 parking spaces. And there were citizens there, just like tonight. A lot of them were against it because I remember one gentleman, he says, I have little kids. And if you're familiar with the area, right next to the church, you can either go next to the church, there's a stop sign for four-way stop, or you can go behind the church. He lived like behind the church, so he's at that street there. And he was concerned about safety because his people aren't going to go up stop sign, just going to go right behind the church. And it didn't matter. They passed it 4-1, even though they listened to concern. They mentioned it was a good fit, mentioned impact on the schools, the environment, a whole different thing, but it still didn't matter. And then I remember chairman of the Planning Commission, on May 8th and August 14th of this year, an applicant from Ontario, Canada, wanted to build 12 greenhouses near Pines Road and Route 83, that intersect behind Fulton Bank and the new Duncan. It's located in regional commercial office, and they come before us as greenhouses. But I'm wondering, why are we getting DEP information? It's a 21.63 acre parcel, and think about it, it's heavily wooded, steep slopes. Why would you put a greenhouse? I even asked at the meeting, I said, why not take a vacant area, put the 12 greenhouses up there? You know what it turned out to be? They were going to truck the ash from the incinerator and fill it up. So, and we talked about it, and he said probably about 12 trucks over a 1 or 2 year period, every single day trucking the stuff in. And so it went from greenhouses to a toxic landfill dump. You know, unbelievable. And you know what? That's why it's important you attend these meetings, because you want to see what the zoning board is doing, the planning commission. We have meetings. We don't have meetings every month, but as needed. But as when a developer comes before us, sometimes it's simple. Sometimes it's just a matter of somebody wants to sell the property, so they want to subdivide it. And then you have more important ones like this. And there again, we had residents. Residents were concerned. We have a member of the planning commission who lives right near there, and they have well and septic. We asked about the runoff. Imagine a 30-foot slope. Want to fill that in? So that's why I think, and this is just 2 examples. So my point is, I think it's important that we have somebody look at all the ordinances. It's very important. And some of the, you know, even just, okay, maybe some of the districts are okay. They don't have to be looked at like open space, but the other ones definitely should. Update them, modify them, maybe delete, because you figure going back, what did I say, 2006? Subdivision Land Development Ordinance to July 25th, 2006. And what's today? I know. Never been updated all that time. And I think it's been ignored too long, and something, you know, should be done, and it's important. You know, because, I mean, I see it. I mean, I get the plans. Sometimes our plans are like a couple pages, but sometimes we've got plans like 35, 40 pages. And I try to think, I'm always concerned about the future of the township, and it's important, just like these people are. And once you change an area, it's gone forever. You know, think about that. Once you change an area, it's gone forever.
I don't know,
No, they're
later,
going to
but
come. Well,
later on, they've asked for an extension, so I don't know that we want to get too deep into the Pine Road thing because of possible future litigation. I mean, the attorney can advise better on that, but I'm kind of uncomfortable with the idea that we're discussing something that's coming before
well, you know,
the
Dave,
board in
though,
the future.
actually, though, you're uncomfortable. However, it's been on YouTube, one of meetings twice already, so it is public record. No, we haven't done anything, but they have to decide by October 1st. And I think, you may be uncomfortable, I think that people should be aware of these things and attend the meetings, to see what's going on.
I'm okay with people being aware of things. I just, as a board, at this point, I don't think that the board should be discussing it because it's not done yet.
Okay, but it has occurred and has been public already, so, no, I understand what you're saying, that's why I just want to provide like an overview, I didn't go into detail or anything, but no, they had to October to let us know.
They follow the saldo process, so you make your recommendation, then it comes to the Board of Supervisors.
That's
They
right.
request to come into the Board of Supervisors, and then you, they present, and then you obviously, just like you've done in the past, you ask your questions and make your decision at that point in
Sure.
time. So, it's fine to highlight the information that's out in public. Then I would advise that you not share your opinions until you hear their plans.
Yeah, okay, but you can also look at the ordinances in the meantime, because we know you came before us with Colhane Road. They want 3 different times, want to put up a building, proposed building, warehouse, and then supervisors took action, and they, in regards to Colhane Road. So, anyway, all right, thank you for your time.
Thanks. James, how does it normally work with updating ordinances? Is that like done on a set schedule or as-needed basis? Or?
It's really contingent on, if there's changes in the statute that would trigger, any of the statutes that would trigger, changes in the Commonwealth Court decisions that would trigger revisions. If you have a growing trend, like for example, in the state of Pennsylvania, there's an influx of solar farms that are coming through. That would be something you'd want to address, the tiny homes, some of the draft ordinances that I've sent over. But it's really driven by the board and what you want to do. We're more than happy to go through and make recommendations on the zoning ordinance for you and the saldo as well. In fact, I think, Tony, we've talked about the saldo. I've mentioned that we need to revise the process bill. We've talked about that. So that's actually in the works as we speak. But if the board so deems it, we're more than happy to go through the zoning ordinances and make some suggestions and recommendations.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Just to mention that there was a lot of complaints about how long the codification process took. There was a lot of legal analysis and review by MPL and myself during that process before. So there were considerable updates to the ordinances that were already in there, and some amendments came out of that codification review. So not to say that we can't do more, I'm just saying that there was quite a bit of review done during that codification process that's now electronic.
And the other thing I'll add to that is your ordinances outside of zoning, okay, that's kind of the, lack of a better term, that's the easier ordinances to amend and adopt. Zoning ordinances require quite a few more steps and hearings. So it's not like, we can go through and make recommendations, but I'd be prepared. It will be a long process if you choose to implement for each and every single zoning change that you want to make.
All right, so we can just have some discussion on if we want to do that, or,
I serve at the pleasure of the board.
okay. We'll get back to you on that. Okay. Yeah, come on up.
Hi, Sue Ostrander, 35 Rolling Hills Court in Eddard. I just felt that it would be, with nothing against Mr. Parsons, and I don't mean any disrespect at all, but I did want the board to understand that the 132 apartments that Mr. Parsons was referring to, yes, there was an approval, but that approval carried 11 stipulations with it. And I'm an alternate on the zoning board. We carefully looked at that and the code themselves. But those 11 stipulations were required a lot of work. And I just want to make sure that you, as a board of supervisors.
I
understand
did
that.
actually read your ruling on that. Thank you. Paul, did you want something? Anyone else? Yeah, you can get up there, come on.
You're young enough yet.
Yeah, Paul Fisher. I'm on the zoning board too. And we also had that case that they were talking about on Paddletown Road. We denied the first one. They had two plans came in. We denied the first one. They took it to court, came back and beat us. So now they'll probably take the first one and throw the second one out with all the things that all the things we put on it, they'll throw them out.
All the things that the zoning put on, you're saying?
Yeah, but they'll take the first case, the one we lost in court. But we denied it in court, the first one for the 120 units, and they took the court and won. And the second one, they probably just throw it out.
Is that the way that works, James?
If they throw out which,
The second one, they, it's not over yet. But the first one, we denied the first one.
Right.
And approved the second one.
okay,
So the first one, they took the court and won. So they'll probably get rid of the second one and take the first one.
well, the second one becomes moot at that point in time.
It's- And we couldn't put a lot of limitations on the first one because we denied it.
Yeah, so just so you guys are aware, the zoning hearing board has their own solicitor that is engaged with this. So I'm not trying to pass the buck here, but I'm not involved with, well, no, it's not a fault thing. It's just, well, that's done for a reason because you need a different body that's looking at ruling on exceptions, special exceptions and variances, or I'm sorry, special exceptions. If I were to represent both, they couldn't come to you for a decision afterwards, so that would be a conflict of interest. So not passing the buck, I'm upholding my ethical standards.
Thank you.
So, Paul, before you leave, so were any of the 11 things on the second one in the first one, or nothing? Like, they still going to be doing
There wasn't hardly anything in the
improvements?
first one. We couldn't put it in because we denied it. We had a lot of stipulations in the second one. And a lot of them, they probably,
So they
they
won in
will.
court.
They didn't yet, but they're probably gonna happen.
So they won in court, so it's deemed approved to the
No.
zoning commission? They still have to abide by.
I would suggest you ask Mr. Laskowski.
Talk to the solicitor for the
What was that, Rob?
I would think they still have to abide by some zoning measures. They just,
Yeah, they'll have to go,
Yeah.
a lot of your stuff.
I don't know where it stands as it relates to the zoning hearing board,
Yeah.
whether you plan to appeal, whether you do not. I don't want to opine on it, but I would ask Mr. Laskowski to opine on that.
is that something we can
their-
get involved in at this point? Or should we?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Laskowski if he reaches out and asks the board to opine on behalf of that. I don't know where the case stands, where the case stands right now.
The second
So,
one,
so
they
if
didn't
Mr.
come back.
Laskowski, who's the solicitor, asks us to opine, then I will talk to everybody about it, and you can give your opinion at that time. But that's where that would stand right now. I don't know if that answers your questions or not.
So can you contact him and see if we can get information on it or not?
I'm more than happy to reach out to him. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Anyone else that I'm missed?
I'm not sure. I'm on the planning commission also. My name's Dale Jackson. I live at 155 Pie Street.
Quiet. Thank you.
Just a couple things about that plan. Well, the original plan that they turned down, that they sued, they were showing a 15-acre development when they only had 12 or 13.
So I'm not sure how that would work, because their plan didn't fit the, right, that's right. And so I'm not sure how that'll work, but, right. And I looked it up in the courthouse, and there was a document that he had. But also that development had 120 apartments, and then the one that they approved had 132. So there's a little iffy there. And what happened there, that parcel of land on the original comprehensive plan was zoned residential holding. And the developer came in like '09, or no, it was probably '08. And he had it rezoned. He come in with this beautiful plan showing conservation by design. It wasn't even allowed in the village zoning at the time. So he actually changed our ordinance to allow this conservation by design, came in with a nice plan with 20 duplexes, and basically conservation by design, you have 13 acres, you build on half of it and you leave the rest as open space. And it was a nice plan. It would have been 40 small duplexes, but then he never built it. So now once it's rezoned, now this guy comes in, this developer never showed up. He sends his engineer and lawyer, and you know what I mean? So he's definitely not a good community development partner of Newberry Township. He's coming in here roughshod, but he still has to go through the planning commission, and there's still a lot of things he still has to do, which would be part of what some of their things were. Well, there's a history there on that property, but, you know, I just wanted to.
So do you know, was the 15-acre plan contingent on, like, purchasing another 2 acres or?
No, when the developer bought it, there was a 12-acre parcel and a 3-acre parcel. So, but when he got his plan, he bought the whole thing. But there's a guy that lives there on 2 acres. So when they had a agreement that when he developed it, the guy would get his 2 acres back. So he come in with a plan, the developer come with a plan not realizing that he was supposed to get 2 acres, so they had like a stormwater pond where his house is and that sort of thing. So that all changed. So it's kind of like they can't come in with that plan and build it because the plan was wrong. I mean, I'm not sure how that would work, but that, like he said, that's up to the zoning solicitor and, you know, and if they're appealing it or what, we don't know, up from the original plan. But they, you know, it's kind of convoluted. Is all
Yeah,
I'm saying.
okay. Well, thanks for that information. Anyone else have anything? I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from the August 22nd.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to land development subdivision plan review. First item of business is Red Mill Crossing Development Agreement. James, your name's on this?
It is, yes. So this is the this I'll take responsibility for. I see it. So this is development agreement related to the Red Mill Crossing Development Plan. This is the agreement that the developer is abiding by what our township engineer has asked them to do. In addition to that, there's some roadway improvements that will be required of the developer before any certificates of occupancy are put in place. So this is to the benefit of the township. These are additional obligations that the developer's putting in place.
Dave, was the DEP thing taken care of?
I think that they did have some meetings. I think they're really close on that. Am I right, Bill?
Correct. It hasn't been issued yet, but we feel that it's going to be issued any day now.
And that is incorporated into the agreement as well.
So do we need to approve this agreement contingent upon that or not?
It's already written as contingent, so the agreement is properly drafted.
All right, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the Red Mill Crossing Development Agreement.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item of business, a 90-day development time extension request, Pines Road Greenhouses.
I mean, you don't have to give them extension, but if you want to give them the extension, that's what you're talking through right now.
Their original extension was till October 1st. They met with the planning commission, as we heard. They decided they weren't ready to come back to the last planning commission, is why they're asking for an extension.
So disregarding the fill that we used, we have no reason not to give them an extension, right?
Again, if you want to follow through with the process, you certainly can give them the 90-day extension if they're going to come back with some other plan. But again, that's up to you. The original, again, is set to expire on October 1st. I don't believe a plan has been put forth.
Yeah, so it has been to the planning commission, and like you said, there's been tabled. So I would think that you'd give them the time extension until they've actually come before you to, present the plan before you. That would be
I mean,
my
that's what I was getting at. It
recommendation.
seems like,
Yeah.
Well,
They could reapply.
they could reapply, absolutely. Start the whole process over again. I mean, effectively, what you're doing is denying their plan. Not effectively, that is what you're doing. It's not permitted by DEP. It must go into a lined container, and it's only allowed to go, there's only an agreement with Modern Landfill. I've already researched the issue. It will not be coming into the township. The ash is not permitted to be put anywhere but a lined landfill. And Modern Landfill, which is down in Windsor Township, I believe, is the only place that ash can go. DEP will never allow that. So we can put an ordinance in place, certainly, but all we're doing is adding a law on a law.
Well, James, here lies the problem with that. If there's nothing wrong with the fill they're bringing in, why are they going to the neighbors, telling them that they're going to bring city water into them, because they're pretty much admitting they're going to contaminate their wells? Yeah, so why, I mean, they went to several residents and said they were going to put city water in there, because they pretty much admitted they're going to contaminate the wells.
I don't know what they've said or haven't said. If that's what they're saying, then, again.
You know?
They're not allowed to dump it within 3 minutes of a resident or a well or any type of water source. So, on the plan commission, we asked them to show a 300-foot radius around all the joiners wells. And that's where it was. They want to put fill in them areas or whatever. That's what their permit states. Isn't it correct, too, the fill has to be capped?
But that was a screwed up ordeal there too, with the cap.
Well, that's what it said, and they were arguing about that.
Yes, you're supposed to cap it every day, and they said about every something of a sort, I forget.
Well, I don't know how you fill 30 feet.
so the only, can you come back up, someone from the planning commission come back up to the microphone?
He lives there.
Wow. So the only plan you have in front of you shows them using ash as fill? Is there any?
No, it's not on the plan. It was found out by questioning. Because, first of all, we were given, the DEP, even it was a certificate, it's just like almost like a procedures manual, the DEP and what they expect. It was, I think about 20 pages or so. Before the man think, why are we getting this? My question is, how come they can't bring a regular fill? And no, during the course of the meeting, during questioning, because we have 7 people, 6 men and 1 woman, and we all ask questions. I mean, I'm glad they do. So it's important. But it was like pulling teeth. We had a father and son representative, and I think one other person, but it was questioned.
Did you have something, Ed?
Yeah, I had attended a meeting with the developer and the conservation district where it came out that they were using the material, and the conservation district had gone to DEP to discuss the use of the fill. That further, there's been further meetings, and I understand they're still working out with DEP what the requirements would be on them. So I don't know if there's any, I haven't heard anything since then, but that's my understanding as it stands right now.
Because they told us it's just going to be growing vegetables. Because the concern was it going to be, medical?
No, it's going to be to make money off of bringing fill in.
But that's what we found out. But
They're
I
gonna
mean, that's
make
what we were
several
told.
$100,000 off of bringing that crap in
Yeah,
here.
yeah. It didn't make any sense, even the location, a wooded area, and then knock all the trees down.
They tried the same thing with my property, and
It's
I was
just-
told by DEP
Well,
to stay away from it.
Outside, I'm not justifying the fill. I'm not preparing for them. It might not make sense to you, but, I mean, Walmart didn't make sense to put there either with that site. I mean, if they do it legitimately with clean fill, I mean,
Yeah, that'd be up to the plan commission.
Yeah.
To, take a vote, but we don't have the final approval. We just advisory board to the to the supervisors, so.
Well, I'm going back to what they told Mike Updegraff and John Euler.
Who are residents who live right there.
Yes, they told him they were going to put city water in there because they're pretty much admitting the wells ain't going to be no good.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, the people who attended me.
That water
they
flows
live
all the way
right there.
down to Goldsboro.
Well, can I ask, what would be the repercussions if we denied the request for the 90-day extension? I mean, would they have any legal repercussions?
No, I mean, if you're planning to not approve the plan as presented, then the repercussion would be, that's not a repercussion, they would just restart the process if they wanted to and submit a new application.
Well, I make a motion that we deny the request for a 90-day extension.
I second it.
any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
That man went to talk.
Well, come up. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
My name is Ben Heisey. I'm with RJ Fisher and Associates. We're the engineer on the Pines Road plan. Wasn't really planning on doing any sort of presentation because normally
Did I skip over you?
you hadn't. No, I wasn't on the agenda to discuss this necessarily. We're typically conditioned to these time extensions being routine and typically proceeding forward. I just wanted to speak on the well discussion and things like that. I'm a stormwater engineer and erosion and sediment control. I don't have all of the technical background on the fill that's being placed, but I do know when it comes to the wells and the conversation with the neighbors, the developer didn't approach the neighbors about replacing their wells with sewer water. It was an idea presented by the neighbors, and the developer agreed to meet with them on it. We were prepared to meet the 300-foot offset requirement until that option was presented by the neighbors. So, as Bill said, we are in the process with the Planning Commission. That includes DEP at this time. We're discussing with DEP as far as the adequacy of the site. And that's essentially where things stand. We're just still going through the typical development process, and this happens for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's traffic on some projects, sometimes it's infiltration testing where you have to do a redesign. In this case, it's a conversation with DEP on the fill material. And that's why we're asking for this extension, to have that continued discussion with DEP.
Well, we voted and passed not to allow the extension.
So, I mean, while you're up there, is it your intent to try to bring that fill into the site?
Yeah, that is the developer's intent, yes. But they're not going to be doing it outside of DEP's recommendations. It's going to be a lot of requirements before they can do that.
Well, we've already voted, so.
Okay.
All right.
I understand.
I wish you would have, I don't think it would have changed the outcome, but I I wish I'd have given you the chance to speak before.
I understand. I guess it didn't, the vote came up quicker than I thought it was going to there.
Okay.
But I just wanted to clear the air on some of that well stuff. The developer didn't come and say that we know we're going to contaminate your wells. The replacement of the wells was presented by a neighbor, and the developer said, yeah, we'll do that if that's what you would like.
The water replacement was requested by Bob. I'm a neighbor, none of the neighbors.
Well,
Bob presented it, and we listened to what they had to say.
I understand. From my understanding, Bob suggested it to Mr. Updegraff, and then Mr. Updegraff came to the developer and said, you know, would you? And then they listened to what you had to say, but the developer didn't approach you and say, hey, we're going to contaminate your wells. Can we replace them with sewer water, city water?
All right, thank you.
Yep. Thank you
All
for
right.
your time.
You guys made a motion, though. You guys voted, I didn't hear it.
Yes, we
Yeah, we
voted,
did.
yes, we voted 5-0.
I just didn't hear it until the motion.
Okay. Yep. Next, we'll move on to reports. First report, public safety.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, residents.
Good evening.
I just want to start off by thanking all the residents and businesses and community that have sent well wishes, condolences, gifts, offering money in the passing of Taser. I just wanted to publicly thank them, even though we try to thank them when that comes in. Sometimes it doesn't actually come from me or somebody from the command staff. Sometimes it'll actually come from an officer. But we've had flowers, food, you name it, been dropped off. Cards, notes. It's an overwhelming thing that the community actually came out, and even people outside the community, they're giving condolences for the fallen K9. So I wanted to say that before I do it.
Well, sorry for your loss.
All right. On to the police department. For the month of August, our department had 1,017 calls. Listing those by criteria, we had 13 thefts, 3 motor vehicle thefts, 5 drug offenses, 15 DUIs, 5 simple assaults, 7 harassments, and 14 all other offenses. The officers also investigated 955 other calls for service, including 24 domestic-related incidents, 14 traffic accidents. They issued 79 citations, 122 warnings, issued 6 non-traffic citations, and made 30 misdemeanor and/or felony arrests. Some of you might have seen a recent news article or TV about the arrest that we made regarding the 16-year-old student that got on the bus. That occurred October 22nd, or actually June 7th. We actually made an arrest prior to that, but when we published it on Crime Watch, they got a hold of this story. So I apologize if that news, ABC 21, Channel 8 somehow picked that up off of our Crime Watch and think that we actually did it right down in there when we actually made the arrest. It had gone through its preliminary hearing, and it's down to county court far before that happened. So I believe I spoke to that at a meeting, but I apologize if that was misconveyed by some people in the media. The last thing I want to say on the police side is Saturday at Walmart, so September 30th from 9 to 12. Our agency is conducting a joint effort with the Center of Traffic Safety, WellSpan, and Safe Kids for installing child safety seats in individuals' vehicles. When they bring their seat in, our certified installers will look at these seats, make sure that they're installed properly. If there's anything wrong with it, they will make the correction. They'll check the seat to make sure that the seats aren't expired, make sure there's no recalls. If in fact there are, we make an arrangements with the driver, the operator, whoever's in the vehicle, to try to make sure that they leave with a safe seat. A lot of people see seats at yard sales and they decide that they're going to just go out and purchase them, or if someone gives it to them that, hey, this is going to be a good seat, this is safe for this young child, well, that's not the case. I mean, they have a lifespan, the seats have a lifespan. If those seats are involved in an accident, they need to be replaced, vice versa. So if anyone needs their seat inspected, besides the fact that you can come to our schedule an appointment with one of our officers any day that they're working, this will actually be at Walmart. There should be 4, 5, 6 inspectors there that will assist them. On to the public safety report.
Excuse me a minute. Is this on the website, the date and maybe the sign?
It's on our website, our Facebook. It's been for a while.
Okay.
I just wanted to make people aware of it because it's actually this Saturday.
Okay.
On to the public safety report. I don't have anything more other than what I reported. I just want to bring to the public's attention that Goldsboro has a chicken barbecue on October 1st. Newberry Fire Department has bingo on September 29th, which is Friday, I believe, right? Yeah. And York Haven has a corn soup sale scheduled for sometime in October, I believe, October 21st. Does the board have any questions for me regarding?
Just want to add one thing, Mark, you still have tickets available for your tools, for a drawing that York Haven's having. They have some DeWalt tools, they're drawing, and they want to sell all the tickets so that they can have the drawing. So if you're interested in some DeWalt tools, catch up to one of them guys from York Haven, because the prices are pretty good.
You gonna be around after the meeting? I'd like to get some of them off of you. Okay. Okay.
Also, Steve, I'd like to thank the fire companies. We had a storm a couple days ago, on a Friday night, I think it was. We had a bunch of hail, and our fire companies went out, instead of having phone calls coming to them, they went out clearing their roads on their own.
Yes.
And all three were busy doing that. That's a
No, I
very good
agree.
job you guys
And
did.
thank you for bringing that up. They were extremely busy that night. They went out, were pulling trees off of roadways, opening up, which allowed the township road crew the ability to stay home unless they needed to come out for something that was bigger and they needed front end loaders. But yes, the fire departments did an exceptional job on that, as they always do.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you. Next, James, you have anything to add to your report?
No addition, Mr. Chair.
Bill, anything to your report?
No, I think what I need to talk about is under new business.
Okay. Scott? Jeremy? Brent? Tony? Jane? Any of the supervisors have anything? And next, we'll move on to old business. Discuss the Fairway Drive and Sam Snead Circle traffic study. Chief, can you speak to this?
I can speak the best of my ability. I think I did bring that along with me. All right, so at the last Board of Supervisors meeting, it was brought to all of our attention that there was a speeding issue, or perceived speeding issue on Sam Snead Circle. Immediately following that meeting, I believe it was the next day, I took the township's covert speed timing tracking device, whatever name you want to refer to it as, and placed it on that roadway in the best location I possibly could, based upon structures that I could attach the box to. Let's leave it at that. So I attached it to a no parking sign, I believe it was. And out of that, it was on that no parking sign from August 23rd to August 30th. And while it was on there, 467 vehicles went through at the speed of 25 mile an hour is what we set the box up at, and no enforceable violations were detected out of the 467 vehicles. In fact, the 85th percentile was at 21 mile an hour. So The 85th percentile is what PennDOT and everybody uses. Bill, you can speak to that as to what the perceived speed is by most people that are traveling that roadway.
Yep.
It's not the average speed, it's not the fastest speed, it's the 85th, so the 85th percentile of the overall number of vehicles that travel to the speed there, that's, you know, speed.
85% of the people are driving that speed.
Yes. So therefore, after that survey, while that survey was being conducted, we obviously increased our patrols there. We had officers sit out there to try to find people running red lights on, running red stop signs on adjacent streets. We did sit out there to try to persuade people not to speed, not in the area of Sam Snead, so we wouldn't skew the numbers. But we wanted to try to gauge what the speed was on Fairway. So we got this information. I took the device back, downloaded the information, placed new batteries on, and placed it up on Fairway Drive. Is that on the next one too? Yeah. So Fairway Drive, that analysis started on August 30th and went to September 7th. During that analysis, I was actually amazed about the amount of vehicles that travel on that roadway, quite honestly. 7,684 vehicles in a, let's say, eight-day span. The speed limit there is a posted 25. The 85th percentile on that road is 35 miles. We had a 58. And that was at, I believe when I went back and researched it, had to drill down through the data. It was at 7:10 in the morning, so it appears that somebody must have been late for work. We recorded a 58, just one vehicle at 58, which is far too fast to be driving on that roadway.
Is this that thing that as you drive past it, it shows you what your miles per hour?
Oh, no, we do have one of those out there, but no, this is,
Something they can't see?
this is a box about yay big, and if you're not looking for it, you won't see it. But if someone brings it to your attention, you will definitely see it. I mean, it's a black box usually hanging on a sign or telephone pole. It definitely looks out of place. I have to have it so many feet off the roadway in order to capture correct data, because vehicles are different sizes. So you go from small vehicles to trucks to buses, in this case, travel fairway. So with that, the 7,684 vehicles, it recorded a 10% of the vehicles were enforceable violations. So with that data, we have provided it to our patrol. What's that? 792. So we've provided that data to our patrol guys, and we're in the process, because this breaks down data the best enforceable times. When it's, it gives us that data as to, hey, this is the time, not only the day, but the time of day that it's best to sit out there to potentially get violations. So we are currently working with that to see what we can do. The problem is, the way roadway is constructed, we want to make sure that wherever we're going that speed, that we're going in a safe manner, that we're not creating issues when we actually attempt to go after the individual. Does that make sense? Make sure that we're not going to be following them, trying to catch up to them on blind curves and whatever. But we did place the flashing speed limit sign that also captures data across on Valley Green Road. I believe it's near the entrance to Valley Green Golf Course. So that's the one that you're probably seeing. It's out there right now.
Steve, you also
anything we can to try to make people aware how fast they're going and get them to slow down.
Up at McDonald's with the four-way there, that stop sign, I sat there one time for lunch, and I bet I've watched 10 people fly through that stop sign. Never stopped, never even slowed down.
Which one?
Coming from Burger King towards 83.
Yeah.
They fly right through there. It's like amazing how many people do that. Just a short time I was sitting there.
They do it until you sit there in a police car, then they seem to stop there and wait about 35 seconds, and then people get upset that they were there for so long. Fortunately, that's, yeah.
So I have a question, Steve. Are these roads posted, all the roads posted at 25?
Fairway is, Sam Snead is not posted at 25.
All right.
That I could find on that section. I couldn't find a single speed limit sign on Sam Snead
Okay.
at 25.
So could you maybe advise, and I'd like to make a motion that we purchase 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs to be placed through the Valley Green development and maybe get them installed so that people actually know what the speed limit actually is?
Well, Scott would have to install them, but however, I believe James would have to draft an ordinance in order to give you, that you would have to vote on permission where you actually set those. Otherwise,
Okay,
I would put
like.
them out there, but they wouldn't be enforceable.
Let me change my motion.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we have the solicitor work with our highway department people to come up with speed.
Is that you or Stan?
No, that's him. In the Valley Green developments.
I'll second that motion. Any more discussion on that?
That's as low as you can go. I don't know that you can. Unless it's a private drive. Have any more questions?
No, I think we're good, Chief. Just, did you get any more calls from residents on Sam Snead?
I am not aware of any, but that's not to say that we haven't. I have to defer to the lieutenant who was actually working very close with Mr. Cuddy? Cutherson. Goes by Cuddy, right? Cubby. He was directly working with Cubby, so he might be able to answer that question. Did you have any more?
Have you had any more complaints from residents of Sam Snead?
No, I think collectively they expressed their concerns at the last meeting. Again, just to expand upon what the chief said, we are very familiar with perceived speed versus actual speed. So I think all the concerns are very relevant. We just get accurate data around there. And I have been in contact with Mr. Butlerson. Right, Butlerson is there. We've gone back and forth with a couple phone calls, some very long phone calls. He's a great guy, but he was very happy about what we did, the data we collected, and he's very accepting. In fact, one night I was talking to him in the evening hours. I believe he was sitting out during the evening with his neighbors, and they were passing. I think I don't want to speak for him, but I think he's satisfied with what was going on there. And the enforcement a little bit.
So maybe this process slowed the couple people down that were the problem, hopefully.
I'll say I haven't heard from
Okay. So maybe it helped some, okay. If-
We hope that's the goal.
All right. That's all, thanks. All right. So the motion, all right. So all those in favor of having James adopt an ordinance to post the 25-mile speed limit sign in the Valley Green neighborhood, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to new business. First item of business is discuss a donation to fire department, donation for assistance with sewer rescue drill.
This is the training that we took down to Goldsboro at their sewer plant. And these guys came in from York County ATR and helped assist and train our fire departments. 4 of them were there, 4 departments. And I'm looking to give them a $200 donation for their assistance that night. I'll make a motion that we give them $200 for their assistance as a donation.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item of business, ratify memorandum of agreement for Article 16 of the Police Association Collective Bargaining Agreement, revising use of sick leave. This changes the sick leave usage in the Police Association contract to permit the use of sick leave for family members in childbirth and adoption. This is basically is similar to family medical leave, is that correct? I'll make a motion, we ratify that memorandum of agreement.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Any more discussion?
I think all we did is pretty much cleaned up the language, all we
We
did.
did.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we did.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been a little bit more than language cleanup, right? But, Attorney, you probably
Yeah.
can speak best.
Mr. Chairman, just, briefly, there was a grievance because there was a disagreement on what the current language is in the contract, and how much sick days they could use. And we negotiated with the police in good faith to try and get an amicable agreement on both sides. That's what this is, and it's pretty close to, the township does not have family medical leave, FMLA, but we do have for, in our handbook for other staff, qualified medical leave to be able to use when your family is ill and for childbirth. So just kind of puts the police about on the same.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question regarding that? Obviously, that's not, we have to abide by it, and the question's gonna be asked to me tomorrow, so I might as well ask you. Is there an effective date? Is it retroactive? Has that, just so when we're asked as far as the grievance, is it effective today? Is it retroactive based upon that grievance? I don't wanna do anything or give,
Well,
that's not permitted.
my understanding is we did this to avoid arbitration, correct?
Yeah, we did this to avoid the
So,
grievance,
and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's retroactive
Okay.
to avoid that grievance.
Just,
Or ask Jesse, because he was pretty tight in these negotiations.
I will ask Jesse, but you guys are my bosses, so
Yeah.
I wanna make
Attorney,
sure
am I
that
speaking
whatever you
correct on that?
think.
We understood when we left.
Was that your?
Retroactive. Okay.
I don't see any language that says it's retroactive, so I better confirm it before you spread that.
Okay.
Will do.
It just says it's today's date that the association and the township agree to make this an amendment to the contract. So it does not mention that it goes back retro. So
I'll wait to hear
yeah.
from you then, sir.
yeah, sure.
Well,
I'll get something from Corey. It does not say that.
but it should. I mean, I don't know what it does to that grievance if it's not retroactive. Okay. We'll research that for sure. Unofficially, I think
Okay.
it does.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Any more discussion on that? I have two motions, correct?
So are you going to confirm that before you vote on it, or are you going to table it till the next meeting?
I think we vote on it saying that it's retroactive. I mean,
Just amend the amendment.
can we do that?
It's been signed by the association as written. I'm just saying that.
You can certainly vote on the agreement as it's written and then request that an amendment be done to the agreement, but then that would require another
Okay.
vote in another public meeting.
Could they not just agree that the intent is
They can certainly do that as well. That's, that would be a discussion between, again, the association and Corey.
Can I amend, or can we start a motion process over and I amend the motion?
What are you amending?
I'd like to amend the motion to approve this with the understanding or intent that this is retroactive so it covers this grievance.
And I know, I'm not certain you can do that.
Can't we just?
We make a motion that, well, you have a motion, but anyway, we make the motion as agreed to by the police association.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds fair. They agreed to it.
That's gray enough.
Okay.
Yes.
You made a motion, I'll second it.
So the motion we have is good?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item of business, Pleasant View Road Bridge Project. We received a grant for $332,207. The-
It's Pleasant Drive. It's a typo in the agenda, but the resolution is correct.
Okay. So we're looking to approve matching funds of $142,375 from the general fund. Design and permitting to begin fourth quarter of this year. Construction second quarter of 2024. Looking for a resolution 2023-27 authorizing the use of general fund money. And the majority of the match will be spent in 2024.
I will make a motion that we approve Resolution 2023-27 for this.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? I mean, we have a bid on this already?
No.
It's based on an estimate.
Okay.
His estimate, so we have to put it out
Okay.
to bid.
Replacement. It's the Iron Bridge, right? Yeah. If you come out of Lewisberry through what I call Hennerville to 382. So we have motions?
We have a motion, a second.
All right. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2023-27, authorizing the use of general fund money for this matching funds to the grant, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2023-22 for approval to invest money in market funds with M&T and a Treasury ladder fund account.
Mr. John Gallagher is here to give you a little bit of, we tabled this from the last,
Yeah.
because we wanted more information.
I'd say I'm from Silver Spring Township, and you guys are much more talkative than those. Hey, good evening, Supervisors. My name's John Callahan. I'm with M&T Bank, and we're your banker, so we're very pleased with that, and always, we take great pride in that, and we take great pride in being long-term relationships with our clients. The first few pages of the presentation is just kind of reviewing M&T Bank, but that's not really what's exciting about it, I guess you could say. The second part is more of having government, you have a government banker that just all we do is kind of work on what you need and kind of work on proposals that you need. But more importantly.
Could you excuse me just for a minute? If
Yeah.
anyone would like a copy of this,
Sure.
there's a bunch of them on the table here if anyone wants to follow along with what he's.
Yeah, I wish I
saying.
brought more. I should have known better.
There's 20 or 30.
I'll blame it on your solicitor. Which seems to be the trend tonight, so that's kind of fun. But I'm going to actually turn it over to my colleague, Rob Buddy, who's kind of our specialist, especially when it comes down to these kind of investments, and really the key colleague that actually just works on this 24/7. I get to work with all the townships and the authorities and everybody else just kind of on their general financial matters, but when it comes to this kind of much of an investment, I bring in the people that actually work on it every day.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. So introduction, I'm Rob Buddy. I'm with M&T Financial Services, which is the broker
dealer arm of M&T Bank, so, full disclosure, what we're gonna be talking about here are investments. They're not bank products, no bank guarantee, no FDIC insurance, value. So what's, what we have on here is just, the first part is just a rate indication sheet of kind of where we're seeing treasury bill rates are right now. And the second portion then is just a kind of a generic proposal for a 6-month treasury ladder. And, I work with John, I cover Pennsylvania government, so I'm not just kind of your average like bank broker who does mutual funds and annuities. I cover Pennsylvania government, so I know what you're permitted to invest in, what you're not permitted to invest in. Obviously, treasury bills are approved by municipal code, so I'm not going in here with any like crazy investment things or things that you're not permitted to use. So typically, a laddered strategy is used to kind of maintain a little bit of liquidity while also getting kind of longer term yields. So you can see where you're getting a highest rate at a 6-month. And if you have, I talked with my hands, so I'm talking about this stuff here. But if you stagger your kind of investments out the curve a little bit, and as they mature, you continually roll them for 6 months, you're generally getting a higher yield than if you were keeping it all in very liquid investments with daily liquidity or shorter investments. But you're also always having funds coming available on a regular basis. So if there's a situation that comes up that you do need to draw some of the funds out, some of them are always kind of coming around. So operationally, the way this works, we set up a brokerage account. It's non-discretionary. It's not managed. So there's never a situation where any transactions are happening without talking to somebody who's authorized on the account. Nothing, no funds are rolled over automatically. No funds are transferred anywhere. It's not a managed account, and because of that, there are no management fees associated with it either. So typically, how we would handle this type of account is you'd set up a ladder according to kind of what you're comfortable with, what your cash flow needs are, and if we were doing like a 6-month or a 3-month, what would happen is, we'd buy the treasuries. When they would be coming due, I'd reach out a day or two in advance and say, hey, this is coming due. Do you want to reinvest it in a new treasury to the end of the ladder? Do you need to pull some more funds out? Do you need to add any additional funds? And we would have a discussion for each and every transaction that took place with it. So it's not a managed account. That's what I mean by non-discretionary. I'm not using any discretion on anything. I'm solely making recommendations and kind of helping you manage your cash flow with having money's coming due and getting it back to you when you need it, pulling some out when you don't need it, and managing it. So any trades that we do require a verbal confirmation as well. So generally, we would alternate emails and say, this is coming due tomorrow. Here's what the new rate is. If you like this, give me a call and we'll go ahead. So there's always a verbal confirmation for any transactions as well. But we also kind of maintain a digital paper trail as well, so you can see the numbers just through the email communications as well. And that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. It's not super complicated. It's not a very complicated strategy either. It's, you got maybe something coming due every 6 months. One of them matures. You reinvest it for 6 months. A month later, you do it again, and you're constantly having this portfolio where you're getting a 6-month rate versus a 1-month or 2-month, or just a liquid, liquid money.
So these rates are laid out for 12 months here, and they're right around a little over 5%.
Mm-hmm.
So those are guaranteed rates for a year, or are they going to?
So these are rates as of yesterday. So in the proposal, if you go to the page that says buy candidate details, these would be as of yesterday. So suppose we got an account set up and we had everything ready to go and we said, okay, today's the day we're gonna buy these things. So in this example, we're spending $900,000 for each one. Again, I don't know what your plans are, what you need liquid. We would discuss that obviously before we would execute anything. But in this case, we would buy $900,000 for 1 month through 6 months. We would spend $900,000. The yields are fixed because we're purchasing a treasury bill at those yields. So for 1 month, you're getting a 527. For 2 months, you're getting 530, and so on down the line. And then as, a month later, when that first one comes due, we buy a new 6 month at whatever the prevailing 6 month rates are. So you're getting a pool of funds that are all, that as this kind of seasons, is all eventually going to be at 6 month rates whenever, that particular 6 month rate that we purchased.
So,
I'm sorry.
so if we commit tomorrow, the 6 month, the first 6 months rates are good rates.
Yeah, I mean.
Or and maybe they'll change tomorrow,
Well,
but
good's relative, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
2 years ago, or even a year ago, we were getting, less than 1%.
yeah.
50 basis points, even, 2 years ago, I was selling 1-year T-bills at 5 basis points. So, they're great rates compared to that, of course. Obviously, there's other things in the market now to kind of compare it to, but, again, treasury bills are fully guaranteed by the U.S. government. So there's your guarantee in terms of they're going to pay that rate. It's going to mature at this dollar because the treasury says so, right? The only time you would possibly run into an issue where you might lose anything, assuming the U.S. government doesn't default, would be if you needed to sell something early. So if something came up and you said, well, geez, I actually need $2 million, so we have to sell a couple of these things. Well, we'd have to go out into the market and sell it, and we would have to sell it at the current market rates. Now, the nice thing about treasury bills is you buy them at a discount, and they mature at the stated maturity value, and the difference that you pay is the interest that you earn. So, for example, the first one on there at a 527 for 1 month, you're paying $899, $369 and change. It'll mature for $903,000. So the closer it gets to maturity date, the closer it's getting to that $903,000. So with it being as short as it is too, your volatility in terms of market prices isn't that great either, unless we see a real drastic spike in interest rates over a very short period. That would be, and you had to sell it. So both of those things would have to happen for you to really kind of experience any sort of loss.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, how is M&T compensated and how much? Out of
So,
our funds?
so for our compensation for these, we charge a spread. So what'll happen is we would go out into the market and buy the treasury bill. So for that first one, typically it would be somewhere between 5 and 10 basis points. We would go into the market and buy it at a 532 to 537 in that range, and then we would sell it to you at a 527.
Well, that's the only question I had.
Operationally, also, we would link to a checking account or savings account, and we can transfer money via ACH, just based on the request. So there's no wires, very easy transfer.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll just wrap up.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
With a little bit, I also put in the presentation something I couldn't help, but every time we talk to townships and boroughs and all that, I always talk about fraud. And that's one of the biggest things we're finding right now is check fraud and all those things. So I always encourage, Tony and the staff to kind of keep an eye on those kind of things, just overall. But we're, again, honored and privileged to be your banker and working with you on these kind of things and trying to get you the best return we can.
All right. Thank you.
Great.
Okay. I'm looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2023-22 to invest money in the M&T Treasury Ladder Fund.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-22 to invest money market funds with M&T Bank.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Do we discuss a dollar amount?
The resolution says at least half of the balance, but maybe Jane could talk to that, just a statement that we wouldn't move half if, depending on what we have coming down the line.
Short-term rates are doing so much better than investing money than what your long-term rates have done. And it's been a long time since we've seen this kind of a,
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you want to call it, this curve.
And that's-
So it's nice that the township maybe to be able to take care of investing money, because we always want the money liquid with the township. I'm sorry I wasn't here for last meeting, but I was sick. And it's really nice for the township to be able to take advantage of this inverted curve while it's lasting, if that's the right word. I reached out to John, and he came up with this proposal that he felt would be really effective for us, you know, take care of investing the sewer fund. Again, sewer fund,
I do have one question for you though before you're done talking. So we said half, but what's that equate to in dollars?
right now, there's investments like,
Yeah.
Currently, there's money at Members First right now. All the credit cards, people can pay online with credit cards, and all that money is sitting at Members First. There's a significant balance in there, in excess of, way in excess of $1 million. And then in turn, then we have probably 600,000 plus at M&T. So we're talking probably like a balance around $3 million is what we were talking about doing. So it is, you know, that was probably the amount that we were going to start off with, but it is a great time for us to be taking advantage of that. This decision was held off, not knowing what was going to happen with the sewer, you know, and when the sale did not go through, we contacted John immediately and said, hey, we would like to do something, you know, to be able to take advantage of the money that we have and invest it so we could be making the best while this curve is inverted for investing, so.
Jane, what do we have in traditions, sitting in traditions?
Well, traditions has the general fund money. It doesn't, there's nothing with sewer traditions. That's number one. So this, like I said, this was only for the sewer funds. Traditions Bank, we have kept the money, we have probably there's capital reserve, maybe 5 million in Traditions Bank is probably what we have at Traditions Bank right now. Then that's general fund money, it's recreation money, capital reserve funds, escrow. We currently have escrow money for projects that are being done at the township, and the developers have to hold that. So we manage probably, well, Rob knows, he signs all the bank accounts. We probably manage 15 bank accounts, you know. So
are we looking for a number that we want to do this with? Because I'm interested in making a motion for $3 million.
We have a motion already, right?
Yeah, we do.
you probably, if you just want to put a cap on it, and if it's, you know, below that, then, so you have half of, because
So
the
you-
money at members could be invested, you know, also, so.
Township money or sewer money?
Sewer money. Yeah, I'm only talking sewer money here, I'm sorry.
So we're gonna All right. So 3 million, we'll cap at 3 million. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
There's just one other thing I want to add, and this is probably a concern that Dave had, and Claire asked me to bring this up when I discussed it briefly with him, was the fact that hydrant money that you made the motion to change probably a year or so ago, maybe not even a year or so ago. That was moved from Traditions Bank to Pliget probably within the past year. The interest that we're making on the interest that we're making on the funds for the hydrant fund are actually exceeding the expenses that we have to pay out for the service of the hydrants. So your concern was that that fund would be depleted, where that's not the case right now. So, like I said, it has been great that we've been able to move funds around. You just don't want to put everything in all your eggs in one basket. So we have money at Traditions, money at Pliget, and we would like to keep the money at, M&T Bank. So, yeah. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next item of business, I'm looking for approval of the 2024 minimum municipal obligation for pensions.
If I could, I'll just read out the numbers.
Okay.
Police retirement plan obligation is $460,828, and the obligation for the non-uniformed retirement plan is $104,701.
I'll make a motion to pay the 2024 MMO.
I'll second that motion. Any more discussion? Just to add one thing, we do get some state money that offsets this, correct?
It's on the agenda coming up. It says exactly.
Okay. Okay.
That's correct.
Any more discussion? All those in favor of approving the 2024 MMO obligation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item of business, I'm looking for a motion to approve R.J. Hall as the selected pension administrator as a result of the RFP process we went through earlier this year, correct? We went through that. This will result in a management fee reduction and a reduction in fund fees. I'll make a motion we approve R.J. Hall as the selected pension administrator.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion for the MOU cooperative or cooperation agreement and co-responder for the police.
Real quick, you want to explain that?
Just get a quick rundown on that. That's the program that I have spoke about numerous times. It's actually sponsored by WellSpan Phil Haven. Township does not pay this individual whatsoever. The only requirement the township has is that we give them a place to work at and internet connection. However, this individual would be shared by us, Fairview Township and Carroll Township, and what they are, they're co-responders that respond out to people that are in crisis. They assist our officers. They have more increased training on how to deal with individuals that are in crisis. It's a benefit for the township. It doesn't cost us anything. I didn't feel comfortable signing the MOU without getting permission from the board. It is a 3-year agreement. I have not met this individual. Myself and the 2 other chiefs have a scheduled appointment with this individual that was selected, hand-selected for this position to see if we like him. If we don't, collectively, then I guess they're going to find somebody else for us. So I believe that meeting is October 3rd, so next week sometime. Wanted to bring it to the board's attention and get your permission to pursue this. I believe it would be a great asset to the community. Again, my understanding is this individual will change his hours from, what did they tell me, 12 noon till 8 o'clock at night, or 2 at night to 10 o'clock at night. However, if we have an increase or an influx or an individual that we know that goes into crisis mode certain times of the month, during the day, whatever, he will obviously adjust his, he or she. I believe the one that they chose is a male.
Steve,
I believe.
it's Carroll Township, Fairview, and us?
Carroll Township, Fairview, and us would share one co-responder. And it would be paid for exclusively by WellSpan.
We have a space for him, too. We have a space.
We will find a space for this individual. He will have to determine his office hours, where his home office will be, whether he's going to be, his home office is going to be in Carroll Township for a month, in Newberry for a month, and Fairview for a month. Those are the specifics that would have to be worked out. Again, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. We've been waiting for this for a year and a half. We thought we would be assigned a co-responder a year and a half ago. I guess it just took so long to find someone that was capable and certified, educated.
So is Fairview and Carroll, are they on board with all this? They're already on board?
Their department and their chiefs are. It was also going in front of their board. I'm not sure what Fairview voted last night, if they even voted on it. I get a chance to talk to their chief. But everybody's on board. Having an individual that has specialized training in crisis, I don't know what to say, but they're a special breed, and if it can bring that person that's in crisis to comfort, and it doesn't cost the township anything, and get that person the
Steve,
training, whatever he
is it
needs.
more for the public or for the officers in crisis?
It's not for the police departments, it's for the public.
Okay.
It's for the public.
Cool.
I wish I could give you the specifics on that, Jane. Hopefully, we will get that information. But the MOU does say that Phil Haven will provide them with transportation. However, I know that there's numerous police departments within the county that employ this resource. They have their own co-responder. And there are occasions where the co-responder will ride in the police car with the officer to respond to that incident. So I think it could be a little bit of both. But I don't want to give you a 100% concrete answer. I don't know all the specifics. We had the meeting, a year and a half, LT, and the MOU doesn't cover all that other than the fact that it says what they're responsible for, and then what we're responsible for is a space and internet service.
Chief, if I could just add on that, in my opinion, this is a no-brainer. This is the way public service is going, and I can just speak from a patrol standpoint. There are other co-responders available to us in the county, state, and other police departments, and we have called on them numerous times. I've been a part of two of those incidents personally. And we lease on that resource, and now we have the opportunity to have that resource be a part of us and share it among the three most northern police departments in the county. It's a no-brainer, I think. They also keep tabs, by the way, as Chief knows as well, but people who we identify that need help, they proactively follow up with those people. They offer them the resources, they check up on them, of course, when they're willing, and they proactively keep track of those kinds of services. It's very successful.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the liabilities are all on Phil Haven. And
Good question.
I made sure that the MOU was given to Tony Miller, and I don't know, did you pass it on? It says there's at one point that all liabilities on them, but I will definitely clarify that, especially if they're in our car.
All right. Thank you. So I'm,
Need a motion on that, or what?
We need a motion, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the MOU cooperation agreement for co-responder, and that is with Phil Haven? Wellspan Phil Haven.
I'll second that motion.
Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, I'm looking for a motion to authorize the treasurer to transfer the general municipal pension system state aid for 2023 in the amount of $297,222.30 into the pension plan. The aid will be in our account on September 27th. This is the state's aid share for the MMO I was referring to earlier.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, I'm looking for a motion to approve the following change orders for the MESB building for Lobar. $8,409 card access, security cameras, volume control, and speaker rough-in. $3,779 for a stage modification in the conference room. $27,430 in additional topsoil. $4,146 in added manhole for the yard drainage, and $7,390 to pave the access road from the new building to the top of the hill towards the maintenance building.
Rob, you going to have a motion for all these combined or separate?
Combined.
On the second page, flip it over.
Yeah. I'll make a motion, we approve these change orders for the MESB building for Lobar.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
The only thing I was ever aware of was the $7,300 for paving. I'm not sure why all this other stuff's added on to the cost.
The manhole, let's start from the bottom. All right, so the $7,390 was for additional paving.
Yeah, I was aware
which
of
I
that.
know
We
you
were
were.
up in
I was
the air,
just
but-
explaining it to everyone
Okay.
else. From the existing building to the top of the hill to the parking lot behind the maintenance building. The 4146 is we added a manhole in the yard coming up the driveway from the new driveway from the road to the left. We added a manhole because we were having a lot of water runoff issues running onto the road and down onto the main road, so we added that to get more water into the retention pond. The $27,430 was for, they hauled in, I think, 160 triaxle loads of topsoil, which wasn't on site and was needed. Yeah, I have the delivery tickets for all of them. Actually, I have them. I think I have them here. The $3,779 was for stage modifications. We moved basically this wall down in that building. We moved it back 3 feet to make the conference room bigger. We did that after they already had everything roughed in and built. The 8409 is for card access, security cameras, volume control, and speaker rough-in. I mean, I knew that was getting done. I don't know any more specifics on that. We are up to, well, let me just start, let me back up a minute and I'll answer your question. So, I don't know if anyone's aware that we are receiving a 2% credit from Gordian, which is the company that provided the bid process. So that should be an amount of roughly $100,000 credit we'll be receiving from them, which will cover most of these change orders that we've done throughout this process. So the Lobar's contract with all the change orders we've approved is pretty much within pennies of being where it started. It didn't really go up their process, their contract. The building, where'd that paper? I had a paper here. The total with all these figures and counted in, the total for the building and all the figures we paid was $6,992,217, and there is $1,468,157 in interest on the money we borrowed.
So we're a year behind and over $2 million over budget already.
I don't think we're quite $2 million over budget, but that I don't really personally think that the interest should be included in the building cost, but it's there for reference. I mean, when you buy a house for $200,000 and pay $450,000 back to the bank, you bought a house for $200,000, not $450,000. But the figures are there so you know what the actual cost was. So
Make a motion to approve the change orders.
I'll second it.
I think we did that. We have a motion. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. I lost my sheet. Okay. Next item of business, approved payment of low bar invoice 211994-9 for $463,486.05. I'll make a motion we approve that invoice. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Is that payment's in there somewhere, Tony? The invoice, the building is roughly 90% complete. So the invoice is for $27,123 for fencing, $31,508 for landscaping, $20,000. I'm going to give you a rough. $20,000 for the sidewalk. These figures aren't adding up. Because the next item is a credit for $261,000. That was for value engineering. So I'm missing some figures off this application for payment. We're searching for the, there must be a page missing here somewhere. Yeah, I'm missing page 2. Do you think you had? I'm looking for this application for payment. There's 3 pages, and I have 1 and 3.
When they scanned it, they didn't scan it.
Flip it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
went to get it.
Who did?
Wendy.
Okay. We'll have that second page here in a second. Basically, the status of the building is they did the paving, all the curbing's in. The inlet that we added plus another inlet is in. Carpet is installed in, I think flooring is installed in 75% of the building. Could everyone just be quiet? Thank you. Flooring's installed about 75%. I think painting's about 90%. Ceiling is probably 95%. Electric is probably 80 to 90%. Plumbing and HVAC is 90 to 95%. Basically, the building is 90 to 95% complete as it sits right now. So this payment is for no more than what building is completed. I can tell you that.
Rob, are we going to the last payment, are we going to have Steve and Diddy walk through there and make sure everything's right before we pay them the last payment?
We'll all, I mean,
Yeah.
I would be involved in that, and Dave would be involved in that
Well,
also.
you guys can all walk through there and
Yeah.
make sure.
Yeah. And there is a 10% retainage. So there'll be a $500,000 retainage out for a year.
And as it's been going on, as the building's being built, we have run into a few little things that low bars had no problems fixing as we
Yeah,
find
they've
them.
been very, very good to work with. Can we move on to the next one or not? So let's table that and we'll come back to that. I'm looking to improvement payment for D. Traglia excavating invoice sewer extension for $156,420. This is a partial payment for the sewer line installation to the new building. Or to, yeah, from the main highway up there down to the new building.
So this is basically for the low pressure part of the project. They have already started to install the gravity. I'd probably say we're about halfway done with the gravity.
This is the first payment we have from them, right?
First payment, yep.
So they're owed well more
Yeah,
than
that
this.
total contract is for, well, with the additional extension down in front of Conley, which we're getting reimbursed for, the total's $590,756, and this is the first payment of $156,000.
Okay.
Make a motion, we pay the bill.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item of business is to just speak about the K-9 program and the possible replacement of our falling K-9. So we had a meeting with Chief beforehand, before this in the executive session. I feel it's in our best interest to authorize them to purchase a new dog at team's expense, not at township expense, providing Officer Vazella wants a dog, which we're fairly confident he will, but this gives them the opportunity to proceed with that process if needed.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lieutenant, you want to speak to that, please?
The team organization is an organization that was formed several years ago. 2012 sticks in my mind without looking at our articles of association. The purpose was, at the time and currently, is to fund programs such as the K-9 program, as well as our TEAM program, which is an acronym that stands for Teaching, Educating, and Mentoring. I explain it as the former DARE program with our fifth graders. There's several activities we do with TEAM
graduation for the children. We, buy supplies, all those kind of things. It used to be state funded, it's no longer. But in a nutshell, team supports the activities, functions, training of the K-9 program and the education that we do in the schools, in 2 of our 3 schools. Specifically with the K-9 program, since the passing of K-9 czar in the last week, we have a lot of support in this community. I think it's obvious for this program. We hear it over and over, and when things like this happen, unfortunately, we've been through a similar tragic event with K-9 Taser in 2019, and we have a lot of our supporters that come to us and say, we support your program, and moreover, we support your program financially. It has always been the prerogative of the team program to purchase equipment, pay for half of the training and other expenses throughout the program's existence. In 2019, the K-9 program was fully funded with the purchase of our 2 K-9s, including K-9 Czar and existing K-9 Rico. They were bought solely by donations through the team organization. So I happen to be a part of that program. I have been a part of that program for a long time now, and I will tell you that I have no concern from the perspective of the team program that if it's the board's wishes that we continue with our K-9 program as a police department, the purchase price for a new K-9 partner will be fully funded. I have no doubt. Correct. That is part of the initial training and certifications that, that's a great question, that the dog goes through and the handler is included in, I'll say, an all-inclusive price. And just to clarify, the amount of correspondence that we've had since in the last week. I mean, we've had animals donated to us by private citizens. We've had suggestions of, hey, I know somebody that has a German Shepherd or a Belgian Malinois. We've had great success with what has been in place for nearly 20 years, I believe. Sergeant Smith, retired Sergeant Smith, was the first handler of a K-9. We know the good breeders or the trainers that hand select the dogs through a lot of research. They've worked out very, very well for us. Are they cheap? No. The purchase of these dogs are a lot more than what a household animal would be, but it's worth it because they protect our officers, they protect our residents, they protect our kids, and so with that being said, as representative of the team program, I would tell you that I have no doubt that if we choose to fundraise for the purchase of a new K-9 partner, it will be very successful, very quickly, I believe, if history repeats itself.
So to make it clear to everybody, because sometimes there's misconceptions, is we're not paying for the K-9, that's paid by other means. The vet care isn't on the taxpayer. The food isn't on the taxpayer, just for the handler when he's out on the road.
Right. Inevitably with any program that you choose to be a part of, we would never claim that there's zero expense to the township if this program exists. That's never been the stance. The stance is that it is substantially funded by the program. And the big capital expense there is the purchase of the asset, the K-9. And, there's been discussion before over the training. Team covers half of the training currently. If there's a need that we cover more, I'll go to the people that sit on our association and I'll discuss it with them. I mean, our nonprofit organizations, its sole mission is to support those actions of the police department. So if the funds are there, we'll support it. We do it through fundraisers. We just had a golf tournament. K-9 Czar participated in the golf tournament in a K-9 demo. It's something that we do, and yes, but of course, are there auxiliary costs to the canine the handlers are employees of ours. We don't, the canine program doesn't supplement their salary. I mean, they're employees of ours, so of course. But we believe it's a big asset to the police department, and team stands ready to support it as we have in the past.
I believe the value of this program adds to the township exponentially outweighs the cost it incurs the township.
I agree with you. I mean, you can never quantify the amount of times that one of our canine handlers deterred someone from attacking one of our officers, deterred someone from resisting arrest. I'm very proud to say that K9 Czar just a few years ago found a loaded handgun that was discarded from a traffic stop that our officers made at York and Lewisberry Road that was previously used in an attempted homicide a few days before. And I'll also say this, our officers couldn't find that handgun, but K9 Czar found it very quickly. Sure. No. There is very specific criteria, and those dogs are very well disciplined to when we would deploy that, when the handlers would deploy, but they absolutely could. Yeah.
Right.
And, our dogs are very versatile as well. They are not just a bomb dog. They are not just a tracking dog. They're trained in patrol and narcotics detection, and I don't think I have to speak to how important tracking. They do tracking, but they would be used very hesitantly in like a tracking of maybe a child, because they are trained to find a bad guy, and if that person doesn't immediately stop. So of course, we would use discretion on that, but I don't think I have to speak to the importance of helping rid our streets of drugs, and both of our canines are cross-trained in narcotics detection as well.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
One more thing, I think I've heard you say before, I know you're heavily involved in team, which is awesome, but team in no way funded by the police department either. They're a sole entity, and they help the police department, not the other way around. Is that correct?
That's correct. In fact, we had the opportunity to work with the township solicitor. We also have an attorney that is paid for by the team organization to make sure, and we actually sat down with some of the board members and reviewed, kind of what we do and what our mission is. And we've even actually taken it a step further, and we've looked at changing our name as an organization just so there's no confusion with the township as an entity. We're trying to be as transparent as we can, but we do have a lot of generous businesses and people in the community.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the purchase of a canine by team, providing the police department deems they need another dog or need to purchase one.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Wait, are we saying team? I mean, do we want to put that wording in there? Because we could get the money from other places, correct?
Well,
Should we name team?
They would fund team.
team will buy it. They'll get donations.
Yeah, team will get
So
the
is that how we
donations.
want to word it? Okay.
Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Do we come up with that invoice?
Mr. Chairman, it appears that Lobar misscanned the document when they sent it to us, that we did not make a misscan. And so we have to go to them and get the second page, but it wasn't scanned in by them, and I didn't catch it when I saw it come in. It
Okay.
was missing. So the second page.
The balance due on the contract is $934,000, and there is well more than that sitting down there. We will get the invoice, but I'm making a motion we pay this invoice.
I can put it on the website so everybody can see it when we get it.
I'll second the motion.
Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'm looking for a motion for
I'll
adjournment.
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
I need your signatures before you start discussing stuff.
I'm discussing very little.